Okay, so if we look at this problem, we have Bill and Mary Ann went to Viola Bakery. Bill bought 5 danishes and 9 filled donuts for $15.15. Mary Ann bought 7 of each for $14.49. What is the price of each type of pastry? Okay, so we're looking at, I'm going to use D for danishes. And let's use F for filled donuts. Okay, so Bill, we can write an equation for Bill. And that would be, he bought 5 danishes and 9 filled donuts. So it would be 5D plus 9F equals the 1515. Okay. Mary Ann, she bought 7 of each. So 7D plus 7F equals 1449. Okay, now we want to solve this. So let's talk. Do we want to use graphing, substitution, or elimination? Which one would be best to use? Do we want to graph it? No. Okay, we don't want to graph. Do we want to use substitution? Do we already have one of the variables by itself or with a coefficient of 1? No. Okay, so the easiest thing is going to actually be to use elimination. So do we want to get rid of D or F? D? Okay, so we have 5D and 7D. These don't match. Okay, so what do we need to multiply the top equation by? 7. And what about the bottom equation? -5. Okay, and remember the trick. If you can't find the number, just swap the numbers. Okay, easiest way. All right, so if we do this, what's 5D times 7? 35D. 9 times 7? 63F equals, and I won't make you guys do that one in your head, 1515 times 7 is 106.05. Okay, now let's do our second equation. -35D minus 35F, and 1449 times -5 is -72.45. Okay, once we do that, what's our next step? How about add? Add, so that way we can cross out. Okay, so we have 63 minus 35. So we get 28F equals, how about 3360? And then how do we get F by itself? Divide by 28. And if we divide by 28, F equals 1.2. And then we need to plug it back in. So do you want to plug it into the top or the bottom? Top. Doesn't matter. Thank you. So we have 5D plus 9 times 1.2 equals 1515. So 5D plus, I think it's 10.8. Yep, 10.8 equals 1515. Then how do we get D by itself? Subtract 10.8 from both sides. So 5D equals, oh, how about 5D, not 58? $435. Divide by 5 on both sides. So D equals 0.87. So how much does the Danish cost? Good. So Danish cost 87 cents. And a filled donut, $1.20. Okay. You will probably have a word problem on your assessment on Wednesday. There is like 100% chance that you will have some type of application problem using systems. Yeah, not happening. Okay. All right, let's finish up notes. What are we looking for? 4 or 5? We did the first page, right? Can you do the second one? All right. So graphing inequality. So looking at this first one, 3x plus y is less than or equal to 0. What form of a line is best to be in when we're graphing? Easiest one is close, slope intercept. So looking at our first line, 3x plus y is less than or equal to 0. How do we get y by itself? Subtract 3x. So y is less than or equal to negative 3x. So for that line, what would our y-intercept be? 0. What about our slope? Negative 3. Are we going to have a solid or a dashed line? Solid, because there's a solid line underneath the inequality. And for less than, are we going to shade above or below? Below. All right, so if we graph that, we start at our origin, and we're going to go down 3 to the right 1. And then we're going to go up 3 to the left 1. Then we have a solid line. And if we're shading above on this one, is that to like the left or the right of the line? Oh, sorry, below. So below would be left. All right. Questions with the first line? All right, let's look at line 2. Now we have y is greater than negative x minus 2. So we're already in slope-intercept form. What's our y-intercept? Negative 2. And our slope? Negative 1. Is it going to be solid or dashed? Dashed. And for greater than, are we going to shade above or below? Above. All right. So starting at our y-intercept of negative 2, I'm going to put our first point. And then our slope is negative 1 and it's dashed. So I'm going to kind of make my dash line as I'm making our points. Okay. And then we're shading above. Okay. Then our last line, y is greater than 2. What type of line is that going to be? It's going to be dashed line, right? Is it slanted, horizontal, vertical? Horizontal. Through y equals 2. So go up to 2 on your y-axis. Make your dashed line. And then are we going to shade above or below for greater than? Above. Why did I just do that purple? All right, so above that line. So it's a little hard to see, but our overlap of all 3 of them would be in this area right here.
So it has to be like all 3 overlapped. It can't just be 2.
Correct. It has to be all 3 of them overlapped. Okay. Questions about that? Off-site? Are you guys good? All right, cool. All right, last example. Alex knits hat and scarves to sell at an art fair. He can make at most 20 hats and 30 scarves, but no more than 40 items altogether. In time for the art fair, write and graph a system of inequalities that shows the possible numbers of hats and scarves Alex can bring to the art fair if he wants to bring at least 25 items. All right, so we're gonna break this apart. What 2 things are we looking at? Hats and scarves. So let's say X equals our hats and Y equals our scarves. He can make at most 20 hats and 30 scarves. Okay, so at most 20 hats. That means that X not equals, if it's at most, could it be 17? Yeah, because it's less than. Okay, so we're going to say less than or equal to 20. So knowing that, what would the Y value be? Y has to be less than or equal to 30. Okay. But no more than 40 items altogether. So how would we write an expression of them being together? X plus Y. And if it's no more than, that means that it's less than or equal to 40. Not yet. And then the last one, it says Alex can bring to the art fair if he wants to bring at least 25 items. So now we're going to have another X plus Y that's going to be greater than or equal to 25. So these 4 are our system. Those 4 are our system. All right, so now we're going to graph. Why are we looking at only the first quadrant? Why are we only looking at the first quadrant? They're all positive. Okay, we can't have negative number of hats, negative number of scarves. Okay, so I'm going to start off by labeling. We know our x-axis represents hats, so this is going to be the number of hats. And the y-axis I'm going to call number of scarves. Okay. All right, so first one we have x is less than or equal to 20. So that's going to be a vertical line. I'm going to go by 5s on my graph. We're going to have a vertical line at 20. And it's solid because it's equal. So for y is less than or equal to 30, what are we going to have? A horizontal line. So up to 30, and we have our horizontal line. And we'll deal with the shading here in a second, okay? Well, actually, let's go ahead and do these two lines. So if it's x is less than or equal to 20, is that to the left or right of our vertical line? To the left. So I'm just going to put like an arrow pointing to the left that you can't see because I just made it way too light. Let's do green. There. And then for our horizontal line, y is less than or equal to 30. So is that above or below our line? Below. Okay. Which means we're in this little section, right? That's where we're at right now. Anything in that little box. All right. Now let's graph x plus y is less than or equal to 40. So yes, we could get y by itself, but when we're looking at word problems, sometimes it's easier to use intercepts, okay? So if you cover up, I wish there was a way I could actually like cover this up. What's this do? Okay, if you cover up, let's see, how do I want to do this? Oh, I know, hold on. All right, if I cover up the y, well, it doesn't want me to do it like that. Okay, if I cover up the y, we're left with x equals 40, right? Do you agree? Okay. So at our x-axis, we're going to put a point at 40. Then if we cover up our x and we solve for y, we would get what? 40. So y equals 40. I'm going to come up here and put a point. And then just connect those two. Okay. If it was less than or equal to, is that going to be above or below that line? Below. So now we're kind of looking at this area. I'm just going to add more green into it. Okay. Now let's do the same thing with x plus y is greater than or equal to 25. If we cover up the x, what does y equal? 25. And if we cover up the y, x equals 25. Okay, and are we above or below that line if it's greater than or equal to? Above. So if we're above that line we just drew, all of our solutions are in this shaded region. Okay. Then if I asked you what would be a solution, could you tell me one? What would be a solution to this? 1530. I think that one's gonna be too high. 1525. Okay, we could do that. So 15 hats, 25 scarves. What if I said 10 hats? What would be an option of the number of scarves? So if you go up to 10, something in here could be, how about 22? Doesn't have to be a nice number. So we're picking any number inside of this area, right? Doesn't matter what number it is. You can't have half of a hat, so it needs to at least be a whole number, okay? So if we go up to 10, we need to make sure we're above 15, but we need to be less than, I don't know what, probably 25. Does that make sense? Okay. Are there questions on that?